kind of talk through the various things. But yeah, I just want to make everyone aware that we are recording tonight. So if anyone has any issues with that, from a privacy perspective, just let Tash know. We'll make sure we can actually block you out. And that's actually a thing. But yeah, we're recording it because obviously a lot of people can't make tonight, and you can also go back and reference it. So yeah, so we're going to get underway. And I just thought I'd start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of our land and our amazing oceans that we love so much. And I just want to pay respects to our elders past and present. And, you know, we are just so lucky to have this amazing land and seas that give us our sport. So just wanted to acknowledge those. Tonight's first session is obviously part of something a lot bigger. We made a pact when we started this that we would do all our talking away from the beach, and that, you know, when the time we spend together on the beach for our sweeps weekends, and hopefully the weekends that you'll pull together, will be spent just on the water, and keeping it as practical as possible. So tonight is a discussion. It's not meant to be a lecture. It's been pulled together, tonight's session, by Scott Tannehill in Victoria, Gary Prettygrove from Browley on the south coast of New South Wales, and Stu Donaldson from WA. So every session that you're going to have is not just me delivering it. There's going to be different people talk. I'm going to lead tonight, but the boys are going to jump in at different times. But please also feel free just to ask a question. You know, don't be afraid to ask it. But tonight is just about talking about becoming a sweep, or being the sweep, and the responsibilities and the things they don't teach you in the accreditation. I think SLSA do an amazing job with that accreditation process, and it ticks all the boxes that we have to tick from an insurance perspective, but there is just so much more to being a sweep, and then even more to being a good sweep, that we want to talk about tonight. So we're going to get stuck straight in. I only hope to hold you for an hour or so. We don't really want this to go on all night, and I just want to big shout out to the WA guys. I know it's early for you, like you've just probably finished work or you're rushing from work, so thanks for accommodating the time changes. We'll get going. So the purpose of tonight is, and the whole academy, I guess, is that the accreditation system will only take you so far. It teaches you fundamentals, and kind of talks to you about different elements of the very basics, but we've noticed probably over the last 10 or 15 years, one, we have a desperate need for sweeps, but also two, we're kind of our own worst enemy with, you know, going out in big surf now is not as common as what it used to be. So we want to really make sure that, and the ASRL and SLSA want to make sure that we're not only improving our capacity for more crews, but we're also improving the quality, and that takes time and effort and investment to do that. And that's what the ASRL are doing here and leading the way. So one of the things as a committee we've all been talking about is this common thread of all of us who have been sweeping, and I'm sure people who are on here have already have this in place, is that we've all just had tremendous amounts of encouragement from so many people, and so many different walks of life, and so many different types of people. And the book, the Surfboat book by Kim Marsh, if you haven't got a copy, you should get a copy. He's actually also just discussing how we can move it all online, but I have a copy here. And this is just, you know, one of the quotes. That's his book, by the way. It is the whole Bible on how to sweep. And I think Kim's actually on the call tonight, I hope. So, yeah, he just talks about how people were just so giving of their time and energy to share. And that's what we're hoping with this academy, is that people who are starting out, or even people who are new to an S2 or an S3, now have this ability to be able to have people around them to support them. Ryan, did you want to ask a question, mate? Your hand's up. Ryan Yockins? No, you're all good? Okay, cool. So that's kind of the premise as to why we're doing this. Okay, go down, Rebecca. Okay, but I want to be really clear with everyone. This whole academy is purely focused on the sweep. We're not going to teach you in this course how to teach people how to row, right? that's a whole different skill set and something that ASRL are working on as well. So I just want to be really clear about that, that this is all about you, the sweep, and nobody else. So everything that goes into being a sweep, the physical, the mental, the emotional, we're going to talk about and really focus on. So I just, yeah, let's be really clear on that, that this is about you as a sweep, not you as a rower, or about your rowers. We'll talk about them and we'll definitely reference them, but this is just about you. And it takes that amount of focus to be able to get this right. And that was something I learned, obviously, along the way as well. And a lot of people will talk about. So we wanted to talk about the fact that when you become a sweep, there are so many different types of sweeps, and all of them we didn't stop talking about, and we really want to impress upon everybody the importance of different types of sweeps. And you might just be a sweep who just takes a crew out just for a wave every now and then. But what you don't realize is that what you're doing is you're keeping people involved in your club. You're quite often going to attract new members because of it. Like, you know, someone will see the boat out and be like, oh, hey, I wouldn't mind being a part of that. You know, the amount of times I was standing on Coogee Beach and people would walk up and go, well, how do I get involved? You know, quite often just plumbing backpackers, but that's irrelevant. But they are equally as important as what a high performance sweep. So these are the sweeps that, you know, are aiming to win Australian titles with their crews, and everything in between. You all play a role. And I think a sweep has the ability to actually attract people and retain people in their club. And that has nothing to do with steering the boat. That's about you being a good coach and creating an amazing culture amongst your crew and amongst your rowers and amongst your wider community, which we'll talk about. So please don't sign up for this thinking, oh, we're just going to try and make people, you know, high performance S3 sweeps. It's actually not our ambition. Our ambition is to make sure that we are covering all areas of the spectrum when it comes to sweeping. And people quite often ask, you know, how do the big North Cronullers and the WA crews who have got, you know, the Northcots, heaps of crews, how do they do it? They have training sweeps. You know, for every North Cronulla crew, there's a training sweep. And I think that, you know, they are just so valuable because what they're allowing their carnival sweep to do is take more crews on carnival day. But, you know, unless you're Peter Spence, and I think he's on the call, who takes every single crew himself, it's actually really hard to do. So you become super valuable to someone if you can actually just stand up at the back and keep the boat straight on a still water session, for a still water session. So just know that it's far more than that, just being someone who wants to win a gold medal. And I honestly, you know, I kind of started out in my journey because, you know, I just had a bunch of girls hanging around and I was one of them who wanted to row more, you know, and just get going and learn how to do it. And there wasn't anyone around to do it, or no one who wanted to do it, take beginners. So I just stood at the back. Literally, that's how I started. So you can start from nothing. I mean, I was doing figure eights all over Botany Bay, without a doubt, self-taught at the start until someone goes, oh, she's actually taking this seriously. So my advice to you is just get started and you'll find your place. Scott, Stu, or anyone jump in at any time if you want to add anything here as well. So in the surf boat book, and certainly in all the accreditation stuff, there is absolutely a definition of a sweep. So here's good old Rick standing at the back of the boat, uses a long sweep oar to steer. They balance their, you know, they balance the boat by shifting their body weight through the feet and leaning against the pressure of the sweep blade on the water. Now, if that is all a sweep had to do, we would not have any reason to have this academy. I think that you'll all realise there's a lot more to it than that. So if only that was the only thing that we had to worry about, it would be pretty amazing. But equally, I think the if onlys and the things that come after it, which we're about to talk about, are the exciting parts of sweeping. I mean, this is without a doubt probably the hardest part, but it's the other stuff around it that I think makes a good sweep as well. So we talked about the various roles that you play as a sweep. And I think that it's hard to actually figure out which one's the hardest because it'll depend on the circumstances at the time. But when you take up the sweep oar and you stand at the back, by default, you become the sweep. So you take on the physical aspect of it. And by default, naturally, you'll take on a leadership position. And that's what we want to talk about tonight is, you know, the various things around being a leader of a boat. You become a rowing coach without a doubt. So it's always nice to have people, and I know there's been some huge success stories of people who haven't rowed before and become great sweeps. And we're not saying that doesn't happen, but there is moments in time, obviously, when you're coaching the boat that you're going to have to comment on rowing. So having some level of expertise in that area is great. And I think the hardest part of being a sweep is also being people's friend. It's really hard sometimes when, you know, you might be having, like, I don't know, like I'll talk from my experience, you know, when you're in a boat with 4 great girls and we're all best of mates and you're the one who loses your sweeper out the back and costs them a place for a medal. It's like, I'm really sorry. But it happens. And, you know, I think that out of all these things, the most important things you want to be in a surf boat is people's friends. But sometimes you actually can't be the friend. You have to be the leader or you have to be the sweep. But it's all of those things that come together to make this role, I think, super exciting. And as you'll probably be able to tell, and the various people that will speak throughout tonight, it's a very rewarding job being a sweep. There are far more ups than what there are downs, and we'll talk about the downs and what happens. But yeah, it's a really, really rewarding job, and I hope you'll all love it. Or these sessions will help you see that, you know, you can actually be really good at it in your own right. Any thoughts or comments, Stu? Do you want to jump in, or who's that?
Beck, it's Scotty.
Yeah, mate.
I think where you've started off and saying that, you know, there's so many different types of sweeps, and just like there's so many different types of rowers or athletes, I think the sweeps, and we're looking at what's up in front of us here, it's important for everyone to understand or realise that you don't have to be the rowing coach. If you just want to be a sweep and keep the boat straight, there's many great sweeps who weren't very good rowers and aren't very good rowing coaches, but they're bloody good sweeps and mentors and friends and leaders. And I think it's important to know and to look to the future of how you might want to become a sweep is how you're going to bring people into your fold to help you become a sweep, but also to become a rowing coach. Or you may have someone at your side who can help you with the rowing side of things and deliver that. So the sweep is all encompassing, as you can see and probably aware, but it also means being smart enough to learn and pull people in to help you when you can.
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to go on later, guys, to talk about kind of your support network. And I think exactly what you say, Scott, like there are different people you pull in. Like if you're not feeling confident in a space, it's nothing to go and pull someone in. And hopefully this academy will help you find those people as well. Yeah, good point. So we just wanted to talk about, we talked about how when you become a sweep, you become so much more than that. And we talked about this kind of ecosystem that a sweep lives in. And it happens by default almost, whether you realize it or not. But I think it's really good to talk about first up, because when you're the sweep, you're going to sit at the heart of this group of people. And what you might not realize being so new is how far that group of people actually extends. So at the heart of it is you, the sweep, right? And probably the 4 people you're going to influence the most or have the greatest influence on are going to be your rowers, without a doubt, because they're in the crew with you. But decisions you make about your rowers, especially when you start to get to people who might be parents, will affect their families, right? So we want to train today. Well, how's that actually going to affect the family of the rowers, and things like that? You know, when I want to train today, that might actually affect another crew in the club. So can you start to see how your sphere of, because you're the leader or sitting in the middle, it starts to branch out. And even from there, the way you conduct yourself as a sweep and as a coach will start to then be seen by wider club members and also your club management as well. So how you conduct yourself, not only on the water, but off the water as well, is just as important as what it is being in the boat. Because then you start to go another layer out, which is to the officials. So, okay, if some of you decide that, yes, I actually want to compete, how you conduct yourself, there is a degree of influence and a degree of behaviours that you as the sweep have to display, you know, and I'm talking about courtesy, you know, and the way you react with things going wrong and things like that. So then again, how you behave can filter to a state level, to an SLSA level, and especially a branch level as well. But then even think about it, right, going really big, is when you're training in the general public and the general public is around, how you behave and your decision making will have an influence on the general public, right? If you are a kamikaze sweep who decide that it's okay just to go straight through the surface and into the flags, that is going to have an influence on how people perceive our sport and also how people perceive you as an individual and as a sweep. So when we sat down and kind of nutted this out, it was really interesting to see that you're not just in charge of a boat crew. It is so much more than that. And I think you should just really embrace the responsibility that goes with it, because it's really nice when you get it right. We've all got it wrong at some stage, without a doubt. And you will get it wrong, but having that good support network around you will really help. Will really help you get it right and get it wrong. Stu, did you want to add anything here?
Yeah, just to emphasise that you know, the centre of the universe being the sweep is a heavy burden to bear sometimes. You can feel like everyone's asking for, you know, something of you, and how to deal with all of that is really what the academy is about as well. Having the network, as you say, to support you through that, and encountering things that you might not have encountered before from those different stakeholders. You know, parents that come up to you with a question that you haven't had a chance to even think about before, and demanding certain things. So those are examples of where the burden is there. It's a burden to carry, but it's also something to carry with pride if you can get it right. And certainly when the success comes, it's shared with all of those as well.
Yeah, especially when the success comes, you know, it's really easy to talk about the things that are hard with being a sweep, but I really wanted to make sure that we balance it out with all the great things that go along with it. You know, the brilliant conversations that you'll have with your rowers after they've just won their first race, if you've got a beginner crew, the brilliant conversations we have with your parents about, you know, you're sweeping my kid and, you know, he wouldn't come out of his room, or she wouldn't come out of their room because they're on their iPad the whole time, and now they can't wait to get to training. There are so many times when you just should never take it for granted, because as a sweep, you actually have a real ability to make such a positive influence on someone's life. You know, I'm seeing it firsthand at the moment. Kiama Surf Club sadly lost John Ford a few years ago in tragic circumstances. Their sweep, and he was the heart and soul of the club. You know, the boats have sat dormant for, you know, a few years, and I kind of moved down here and I was like, right, I've got the ability to sweep, so I'm going to go and ask if anyone wants to row. And I'm watching, and it's not because I'm a sweep, it's because everyone has now the ability to get back on the water, and it's been nothing short of just the best fun. So yeah, it's really nice to be able to have a skill that can influence so many people. And that's really, I think, a lot of us who do sweep, that's our motivation, is I found a skill now that I learnt, just like I learnt to row, that can have such a positive impact on people, which is really nice. Okay, change. Don't you love it? So we talked about, and Scott, you might want to jump in here too. We talked about just wanting to become the sweep you want to be, right? So we've all been, most of us, been coached by someone who we think is absolutely amazing. We've probably all been coached by someone that we say, we don't ever want to be that. And I really encourage you all, as you go through this journey, is, you know, we've really tried to take a step back from saying, well, this is what I do, this is what I do. So if we do it a lot, you have to tell us. we really want to encourage you all to be the coach that you want to be and to be the sweep that you want to be. There are so many inspirational coaches out there. I mean, these are just 4 amazing ones who have done things differently. I will tell you, Rod McQueen's book is one of the best I've ever read, if you haven't read it, because he does talk about surf boats a lot in it, being a rower himself. But, you know, Carrie Graff, Carrie's a good friend of mine, and she coached the Opals for like 10 or 15 years. And she is a taskmaster. Like, she is take no prisoners. Like, she throws emotional intelligence books out the window, right? But that's the way she is, and she's like, Beck, that's the way I am, and I get the best out of my athletes that way. And I'm like, great, there's no one to say you're right or wrong as long as you're not abusive. She's like, no, I'm not abusive, that's where I am. So yeah, just, you will find your place, and don't let anyone tell you you should coach this way, because it's about who you are as a person and what makes you comfortable and what brings the best out in you. Scott,
Becca,
do you want to?
Yeah, Beck, I think along these lines, I think it's really important for people who want to become a sweep to find a mentor that they can relate to, and it doesn't have to be within your own club. In fact, it doesn't even these days doesn't even have to be within your own state. If we, I've never met a sweep who's not open to helping another sweep if asked. And I think that's the biggest problem we've got, and this is where it's all coming out now. All you've got to do is ask, and not enough of us in the past have asked. Here I am. I've been around a while now, and I'm still learning. I know I'm still learning, and Beck will agree with that. And we're all learning, and I've still, one of my mentors who I started with maybe 35 years ago is still coming up to the carnival after the race telling me what I'm doing wrong, and I love it. And I just think it's important that we do find people to lean on and to work with, and people we feel comfortable asking, and who will come and help you and watch you and criticize you and applaud you. So yeah,
definitely applaud you, because at the start the applause is limited. Without a doubt, it's limited.
You don't get too much applause as a learning sweep, that's for sure.
No. Which is a really good kind of thing to talk about next. This is very real, okay? And it's not only a fear of standing up the back and taking off on a 6-foot wave. There are going to be things as a new sweep or as a developing sweep that absolutely just scare the shit out of you. And so we talked a lot as a group about, how we help you overcome that. And I think what Scott just talked about in terms of having someone or people around you that you can go to and go, look, I am scared shitless about this particular scenario. Have you had it happen before? How can you help me? And we talked just about fear. Sometimes the fear, and I can't tell you, I must have about 30 emails of people saying to me since we started this, Beck, I'm so excited, but God, I'm scared. I'm scared about doing it. And I just want people to know it's completely normal. But fear in our world, we want to reframe it. False evidence appearing real. A lot of the fear you will face, I can't go and ask that person for help, or I can't take on, that crew, or I can't do this. It's probably in your own head. There is not one person that I've spoken to about this academy or anything that said, I don't want to help. I'm going to stand there and laugh at them. I'm not going to give them support. Not one. Okay. And I guess if I could, talk about myself for a second, I was scared at the start. I was embarrassed to go to my first carnival because I knew I'd not probably held a wave. But when I walked onto that beach, I felt 10 foot tall because I had everyone there literally pushing me down towards the water's edge, and, had Zom on the radio encouraging me to actually just put my blade in the water because that would help steer the boat better because I was that crap. But just know that, whenever you feel like that, it's pretty normal, especially as a new sweep. And especially as a new sweep getting in a boat with people who know how to row. And they, a few of them will probably be experts on sweeping, even though they've never done it. But just know that it's probably not real. It's just you kind of not having enough confidence yet to back yourself and to have a real go at it. Because every time you feel that way, go and grab your mentor or go and grab a mate and go, here's how I'm feeling. You know, it doesn't need to be a psychiatry lesson, that's for sure. But you just need someone to go, that's not real, just go for it. Just go and have a go at it and see where you end up. And if you stuff it up, so be it, because you're going to do that plenty of times. Stu, do you want to add anything there?
Oh, hell yeah. The antidote to fear is confidence. And you get that from trial and error for sure. But you also get that with a little bit of homework, a bit of backing. The stuff that the Academy is going to offer gives you that little bit more confidence to have a go. And in the end, when you do see the success or see the progression, you go, okay, I'm on the right track. And that's all we're looking for is, just to see that progression and that improvement, bit by bit. It's not a linear progression either. Sometimes it's a grand leap forward where you just go, oh, of course, and you go from one skill level to another really quickly. So don't think that it's a 7-year progress that we're trying to encourage you to go through here. The whole point of the Academy is to speed that up and first of all overcome any fears you might have, but then to have that confidence to progress as quickly as you feel you can.
Yeah, it's great. Everyone needs to put fear on their fridge and write underneath it, false evidence appearing real. It's a great one to have on your fridge. So as a suite, let's talk about the people who support you. This is what it will feel like at the start. And certainly for anyone who started out as a suite will tell you everybody wants to help. And it's so amazing. I was really overwhelmed at the start about how many people, I remember walking up to one of the guys from our club going, oh my God, when I finish a race, everyone runs to my boat to tell me what I can do better. And I was like, he goes, well, what's wrong with that? I said, I don't know who to believe. I said, they're all saying different things. And he was like, oh, you'll be right. You'll figure it out. And it's true. I did figure it out. But don't knock back anyone initially who wants to help, because you will start to find the people who you really connect with and will teach you things that you thought, oh, I just never even thought of that. Or, and diversify the people that you deal with. So, it's very easy to default to people in your club, but I know a lot of you on this call right now don't have those people in your club. You might be starting a new club, or you're a lone soldier. You need to go and reach out to these people. By default, I think we want to all kind of get to know each other, and that's the idea of the Facebook group, is that we can continue this conversation when we're away from the beach. But what will happen is there'll be a lot of people around you, but just navigate it, and don't say no to it. Just take it on. Something will resonate, something won't, but just feel very fortunate that you have these people around you. And certainly that's what the Academy looks like. But over time, things progress. Yeah. So I thought I'd share this kind of little model of a talk that I do about the sweep, at various places. And this is kind of what happened in my journey. And I talked with Gary a lot about his journey as well, and the different things that happened. And there definitely were some commonalities. So when you start, let's just look at the white triangle for a minute. When you start, everyone's going to want to be a part of your journey, without a doubt. I just find it very hard to believe that no one will walk forward and go, oh, I just don't want to help you. And if you do have that situation happen, you come and tell us, because we will put an army of dots around you, without a doubt. But after a while, without a doubt, the novelty will start to wear off a little bit, and you'll start to see those dots fall away, and some people will fall away, right? Someone actually told me that people will stop talking to you when you actually start getting good at it. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shame, but it's true, because I don't want to give away the competitive advantage. But the nucleus of people will stay, and you'll find that you get this group of trusted advisors, and they may come in different forms. And I'm going to share what I call my inner sanctum in a second, because everyone's inner sanctum will be different. But it's just a model that we wanted to share with you, because these themes are common amongst a lot of sweeps we've spoken to. So I kind of got to this group of an inner sanctum of people I really trust and people that I go to for anything. And then it got small, but then just life, I guess, started to change. I started to work in professional sport. So I had this whole new aspect of people that it started to grow again. And it's so exciting. And I feel like now it's coming in again and then it's going to go again. And this is kind of my, I guess, personally genuine desire to want to be the best I can be. So I go hunting it a bit. And I'd encourage you to do the same. It's really exciting to have these conversations with different types of people. And interestingly, what happened was quite the opposite, is that, you know, the reality of sometimes being a new sweep is no one wants to row with you. You know, being a chick sweep as well, I'm not going to row with a chick sweep who can't go straight on Botany Bay. You know, I get it. But I was like, well, no one else is going to do it. So you either put the boat on the trailer. So, you know, but what happened over time, and as you develop and your skills develop, people will migrate towards you. They'll migrate towards you, I don't think because you can hold a wave. I think they will migrate towards you because you're a good coach and you make them feel good about what they do as well. So naturally, I think your competitive angle will start to grow. And that's exactly what happened with me. And a lot of other guys around here as well. They'll talk about how, oh, it wasn't so hard just to get a crew, and it certainly wasn't as hard to get good rowers as well, or people who wanted to put in the effort, I think is more the thing. Scott, did you want to add anything? Or Stu there? You're good? You're on mute, Scott.
Sorry, it's been a long day. You're killing it, Beck.
Well, it's just the reality of it. it's all good.
I just while you're all there, it's been a long day. We lost one of our great members down here at Talkhead today, Jeff Frenchie, and I've been having a few shandies with some of his mates at the pub. So I'm here.
That's exactly what a sweep does. Celebrates in style. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Scott.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I am opening up to the sweeping world. I said I would do this because, you know, it's real. This is what my inner sanctum looks like. And so, interestingly enough, when I sat down and worked on this, I only have actually one sweep in this group now. And it's not to say I don't talk to other sweeps about, you know, what happens. I'm not going to say who it is, but I have one sweep in it. My old boss from work is someone I talk to more about kind of managing people and how I go about that. I'm lucky enough with work to have done some stuff in the professional sports space and worked with some people at AIS, and I talked to her. A girl who was in my very first crew, she's someone I go to a lot, you know, and just go, am I getting this right? She'll go, no, or yes. Some of my best mates, and Bruce and Hank are my dogs, who you can probably hear snoring in the background. And I put them here because quite often there are times as a sweep when it does go wrong. And I think it's just really nice to go and disconnect and go home and do something completely different. So Bruce and Hank have shared in my greatest triumphs and also shared in my lowest moments as a sweep. And I'm sure everyone else on here will talk about there's something that takes them away from rowing. And I think as a sweep, guys, it can be all encompassing and almost a little bit obsessive at times, because the thrill of the chase is so unreal, and you'll start to do things that are, and I'm not talking about winning a gold medal here. I'm talking about, oh, I just held my first wave. Let's go out tomorrow and do it again. You know, just make sure that you've got something away from sweeping that gives your brain a chance to just relax, I think, even though I find, and a lot of people find sweeping very relaxing. Yeah, I do think that's really important. But these group of people that I have around me, and I love this Simon Sinek quote, is it's not what they do for me, it's how they make me feel. And these people and my four-legged friends make me feel unreal as a sweep. And I'm telling you, at sometimes as the sweep, you're going to need it. Something's going to happen and you're going to need that support. But equally, they share in your greatest triumphs as well. You know, my longest standing rower, who I nearly killed 10 times over, at the start, you know, she talks about the funny things that happened more than we talk about the success we have as a rower and a sweep. So Yeah. Scott, you're right.
I think my question to you, Beck, did you go and design this group, or did you find it came into being?
It came into being. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
But I think now on reflection, and I'm thinking of the ones, I lost one today, of people around me. I'd love to have my time over, and I might be more aware of it. I know that I see some other great sweeps online tonight, and I'm quite sure that they'd probably be the same. They end up with a nucleus of support base around them.
Yeah.
Never went through it, but you see them, and I won't name names because I've seen who's on, but I admire that. I look at them when I go to the Northern Beaches Carnivals or the Aussies, and you see the same group supporting the great sweeps.
Yeah.
Whether it's family, mates, other sweeps, retired legend sweeps, they're there, and you need. I think it's. I just think it's not something we think enough about. But what we're doing now with the academy, that I think the promotion should be, and we've touched on it a few times tonight, to be aware of that, and to be aware of the people you have around you, and I think if you look at any coach in any sport, great coach in any sport, they always have a nucleus of people around.
Yeah.
And they'll feed off, whether you're seen in media or when they talk about them or whatever. And it's very important to work with.
Yeah. Gary, I'm seeing you are on the call. Do you want to add to it? And then I might just throw this open, like to people like Jace Bean, Nathan Perry's on it, just to build on it and your experiences around that. Like, as I said at the start, this is not meant to be me talking the whole night. But Gary, do you want to talk about your support network?
I can do mine first. Thank you, Beck. I'm enjoying the night, and it's really good to see 100 people online.
100? Is it at 100? Wow. That's amazing.
So yes, it's my support network started. I started off as a junior sweep back in the 70s. Had some mentors, which one of them still going to today, and I've done the same as you. I've built my inner sanctum. It has my former bosses and employees. It has my former rowers that I used to work with, or current teams, my best mates, and I've got 3 crews going, and you do need a break. And I have trainee sweeps that stand in for me, and I try and get 3 crews on the water together so I can minimise my time that I have to share around with my family and other things I need to do. So we can get all the boats trained at once, 3 different sweeps. When I go to carnival, I sweep the whole lot, but just to get that training done, that inner sanctum just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's so important to me as a sweep, and then I try and be a mentor for others, and it just it's a brilliant inner sanctum that works for me.
Nath, what about yours? Do you have one too?
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at your note there, I probably don't limit it to one sweep, but listening to Scott, he's probably noticed the way, the Northern Beaches guys are, whether it be, with me and my mates, for instance, with Rude and Bryce and guys like that, and we love coaching each other. I think that when we were at Monavale, that was a big part of what we got out of our what we called coaching group, was the sweeps coaching each other and being open and willing to be coached. Could be as simple as you took the wrong course there, mate, and discuss that together as a coaching group. There's a few things tonight that I wanted to reflect on. Was as Scott said, you'll never stop learning, and you need to be open to that. In fact, I expect to, even after sweeping for 30 years, I expect to learn something out of tonight and this whole academy, to be honest. And also, there's something else. You're talking about the fear and the mistakes. Even when you're really good, you still make mistakes. It's an extreme elite sport, and you're still going to make mistakes. Personally, I've had a couple of really bad accidents in the last 5 years, and what got me through it was, Ayrton Senna and Peter Brock, both at the top of what they do at their extreme sport, and look what happened to them. And we need to just not mope around about it so much, engage your inner sanctum, and help them coach you and move you on through it. you're going to have moments where you have doubt, but if you keep at it, you're certainly going to improve. And if you engage the right people, you're going to improve. If you can improve your crew, you're going to improve. And probably the biggest handbrake to what we do is having a crew that's not able to give us what we need as sweeps. So a big part of coaching is being able to teach them to make your life easier. A bad crew can make a sweep's life a misery, and it's very important. We can teach them to give us what we need to be better.
Yeah, thanks, Nath. What about you, Jace, just before we move on?
A smallish sanctum, I suppose, I have around me. When I started sweeping competitively at Mets, there was me and one other guy. It was up to us to rebuild it because everyone else had vacated and left. So we've had a go at that over the last couple of years, and do have a small group that I rely on for bits and pieces. And we all have fear. Simple as that. I know I do. When the surf's massive and you think, geez, should I be out there? Can I do this? The more time you spend in it, the more comfortable you get with it. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think what you're hearing, guys, is that whilst, and all these guys that are talking right now, I look up to as well. And, they don't do it alone. I think that is the theme that you're going to get out of tonight is we want to make sure that we're creating an environment where you all feel super supported. And it might not be anyone in your club. You might come and grab us. We don't mind. It's totally fine. So what we want to encourage you all to do kind of between now and when we catch up, either physically at the weekend or just over the next few months, is we're so good at sitting down as sweeps and writing a program for our rollers. And here's what you need to be doing. But I want to really encourage you to sit down and think about your sweeping career and what does that look like. And at the very end of the day, there is a great resource, and it's the F10 resource, which would have been in your coaching accreditation. But this actually is a really good tool just to use as a base about how you can progress your sweeping journey. And sit down and write your own pathway. I think I'll sit down with people who can help you write your own pathway based on your own circumstances. This is actually really exciting to do. And I think that a lot of us in the past have just kind of rolled with the punches and, this is happening now and let it happen by default. But I wonder if we could all be better because we've actually sat down and wrote our pathway as a sweep. And SLSA are wanting to work with the ASRL, and they will be, on developing the F10 model for surf boats. But at the end of the day, really what you want to do is, the F stands for foundations, and that's going to be your S1 level, standing at the back of the boat, knowing how to steer it. And then as you move through, your S2 is, I'm starting to think that I might actually start competing. Or then I actually want to be really good at competing. I want to take my crew to attempt to win, the state and Aussies. And then you're just kicking on from there. So I want to stress the point again, though, how important every different level of this model is. And you can write your own pathway. There's a million models out there that you can use, but you might be a bit like me. I just scribble on a piece of paper. Here's where I want to be by here. Here's where I want to be by here. Doesn't matter. It's your pathway. No one else can write it for you, and no one else can tell you what's right or wrong with it. But the F10 model is just a really good one because it does actually just ask you some questions about what you need to do at different stages to kind of get you there. And that's a step for you. But if you ever want to sit down with any of us and say, hey, Vet, can I share my pathway with you, or share what I'm thinking is realistic over the next 12, 18 months, 3 years, whatever, any of us will sit down with you and do that. Because I get a real kick out of that sort of stuff. But and more so, it's really nice when you achieve against it. So that's just something to think about as a sweep going forward. And it's a very different mindset to setting a program for a rower because it's all about you and you, the individual sweep. So some of the goals, we just thought about some of the goals that you might include in it. I think early on, it's really important to focus on things that you can control. So you can decide, I'm going to sweep a boat once a week, right? I'm going to do that, and you can help make that happen. Or, within 6 months, I want to go from an S2 to an S3. You could control that with hard work. I want to catch a wave at a certain height. I want to, I want to try and get a crew together. Like, they're things that you can put the effort in to do. What we just want you to be wary of first up, and especially because there's over 100 new people here, guys, S1, but not even S1s yet. So, just try not to focus on things that are actually out of your control. And we all know what happens in surf boats. Results, although we like to think are totally in our control, they're not. You can be the best crew on the beach and still not win. So don't worry about those things so much in your journey to be a sweep. Worry more about it, in mastery and when you're in the high performance area. But early on, don't even worry. In fact, or set your goals, that I just want to actually finish a race. Now, that might sound laughable, but for me, that's all I wanted to do at my first carnival, was finish a race in the boat, because at that stage, probably didn't happen that often in training. So, and I did that. So I walked away super proud. And then you go from there. Any other goals, Stu, you can think of? Or anyone else got some goals? Like, feel free to jump in, guys. It's, yeah, throw it in the chat or whatever.
Yeah, I think that link between goals is really what you need to get there. So if you've got a goal of finishing your race, well, you just break it down. Okay, well, I'm going to have to get in the boat before the crew leaves you on the beach.
Which is easier said than done. Getting in the boat.
Break it down. Get through the get through the first break, second break. Round the can without getting flung out. Land straight as you can on the beach and celebrate. Break it down to the bits. But if you don't have the goal, then you don't have the plan that goes with it. So it's the place to start for sure.
Yeah. And just one of the notes there I just put is just be wary of timeframes. Saying I want this by this point in time. Just be fluid around it, because I think that sometimes time like that can often lead to some sort of failure if you've got a really strict time regime around it. Just because some things are just out of our control. We might go through a period of time where it's just 10-foot surf and you're not going to get near it, so that delays you. So yeah, don't put timeframes on it. I think more achieving the milestone is more important than actually when you actually did it in terms of your time frame. But it works for some people, so whatever works for you, that's what's important here in writing your own pathway. So I really want to make sure that we have a balance here of, there are 8 good things out of 10 things that happen when you're a sweep, and the 2 out of 10 they happen, right? So you are going to fail, and this photo of me is the photo that just keeps on giving. And I know it's funny and I know it's hilarious, but I look at that and go, oh my God, like, not only did I nearly kill 60-year-old women, but God, it hurt. Not only just physically, but pride, because I got it wrong. I got it so wrong. I didn't call them up the back quick enough. Not that because they're 60-year-old women, I was afraid they wouldn't actually get there. But and they didn't, clearly. But you're going to get it wrong to get it right. And, I personally know this. Nathan just talked about it. You get it wrong before you get it right. And God, it feels so good when you get it right. And you really have to celebrate it when you get it right. I don't care on the beach if I see someone do a little fist pump because they've held a wave. Like, the old blokes be like, oh God, she hasn't won a thing, and look at her doing a fist pump. Get stuffed, I say. I just held my first wave or won my first race. Like, celebrate it. Why not? Because this is going to happen, and the failure hurts sometimes more than you can imagine. Which leads us to this theme. I think I introduced it to the guys about mourning the loss. There are going to be times when you are training your crews so hard, or you're just having the best time with your crews, and you cost them. Right? What you do costs them. And I really felt that really heavily at the start. I had a young 23 girls crew who were very good, and I swear to God, I cost them more races than they won in the first couple of years. And it was hard. It was really hard emotionally, but you have to go back to your inner sanctum and the people around you who go, you have to keep going. You've just got to keep going. Like, so what? You got it wrong. You've just got to keep going. because you do get better at it. I'm not saying it doesn't still happen, but yeah, you will mourn the loss. I know some people still mourn the loss of losing a gold medal or something like that, but you know, you can equally mourn the loss. Like I had an incident where I almost put the girls on the rocks at Coogee, and I swear to God, I looked death straight in the eye with these girls. And I still mourn that day. It's really bad, but I do. But you'll get better at it. And I think you will honestly just see in time that you'll go, oh, I got that wrong. Just apologize and move on. You know, if a rower makes a mistake in the boat, we don't chastise them till the day they come home. Well, depends how bad it is. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that topic to light because it relates to the topic we talked about with fear. You are a 5-person crew in a surf boat. The sweep is not immune from making mistakes. In fact, there is no other sport, and I've brought this up even at, with my mates at the AIS and stuff, there is no other sport where the coach is also the competitor that we can think of. Now, you might say, oh, captain coach at football, but the football side can still go on without you, and you can become just the coach. I challenge anyone on this call to think about it. There is no other sport where the sweep and coach is actually also a competitor. And it's very hard. It's very hard to be that. And you feel it, but you're a 5-person crew and we've all got to take responsibility for what we do and move on. That's it. That's all. Does anyone else disagree with that? Can anyone else think of a sport? I bet you can't, because if you do, I'll buy you a beer. I noticed there's a couple of other. Sorry?
Sailing.
Are they the coach as well? Or do they have people in the boat beside them coaching?
All right. Does a sweep have to be a coach? No. I just want my beer.
I was going to put in a slide about you must be able to drink beer, but I think those days are gone. A good red wine, as Catherine and Ross are doing, sitting there drinking their wine, is always a good start. But I don't like to promote alcohol as part of it. I think that's a natural. Oh, Scotty's got a glass of red too. Yeah. Look, it could be that it is bloody hard to be the sweep and the coach and the psychiatrist and everything in between. But like I say, it's rewarding.
Can I add something to that, Beck? Just from a personal observation, Stu McDonald's my name. A guy called, for the people sad enough and old enough to remember Daffy Gray, he wrote a great piece for a book once on coaching, and he talked about sweeping, how all those other skills you so aptly and brilliantly described, Beck, about understanding the psychology and teaching to row, how they all develop so much faster than your actual ability to sweep the boat. And he said, I think I spent 7 years teaching people to get fit, how to row, how to handle surf, and then just butchering every race I ever put them in. And after 7 years, I felt like I caught up to them. And I thought that was such a brilliant description, because it took that long to develop the surf skills and the confidence and the ability that matches all the other skills. Like I said, you've so very well described. So just, I can't go against it with another sport, but 100% back what you've said.
Yeah, it's really. Yeah, sorry. Who's that? Phil. Yeah, jump in, Phil.
Would you mind if I just added one thing? Could you just go back to your last slide?
Hang on.
For all the the new sweeps there, I'm absolutely guarantee that every single experienced sweep you talk to is going to tell you that what is so important is getting back on the horse.
Yeah.
Getting back in the boat. We all have made mistakes. There's been multiple times where all of us probably thought, look, am I good enough to do this? Am I putting people at danger? Am I opening myself up to criticism? Or am I enjoying it? But you've just got to get through that and get on with it. If you do, you'll get to the end and you'll become a good sweep. It's so easy to give up though. There's so many factors that go through your mind. So always remember, just get back in the back of that boat and keep going, and you'll get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wise words, Phil.
Can I
Like getting
reflect
back
on
out is essential. Yeah. Nate?
Yeah, so just back to the last slide of the morning, the loss, I suppose. Yeah, I from an experience I had as a younger sweep that made me realise that we're not everything's going to go right all the time, and you need to get on with it. Was I went out rowing with a mate who just wanted to have a sweep, and we took him for a row and took off on a wave, and eventually swung as he was going to, because he hasn't done a lot of sweeping. And seeing him mope around on the beach and carry on like a bit of a good sort was disappointing for me, but made me realise, wow, I'm like that too sometimes, and still am, I guess. And you have to realise that you're not going to hold every wave that you take. You know, we're not, even Superman wouldn't. It's just the way boats work and waves work. It's sometimes you know, when the boat starts falling, you're not going to hold the wave. But also back to what Phil just said about getting back on the horse. It is important. Just keep going. Have the your group helping you in that regard. When we had that accident at Manly with the girls, I spent probably the next 24 hours crying, to be honest. And the boys that I swept just kept picking me up and putting me back in the boat. And that same day, we rolled it in the semi and then rolled it in the final, and still managed to get fourth somehow. But they kept on putting me back in the boat. And then the next day, we turned up to the short course, and I stuck the fellas in that 3-metre barrel you might have seen. But the point of my story there is those 4 guys just kept saying, mate, get back in, keep going. And I had the trust and the support of those fellas. Yeah. And I hope you've got to keep getting back on the horse, like Phil just said.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, you know, you're so lucky when you've got rowers who do that. You know, you will experience rowers who won't do that, and it does hurt. Like, but they don't deserve to be in your boat, in my eyes. Just get rid of them, because you've got more of a skill than they do. That's what I reckon. Anyone who wants, like any rower who comes to you and says, oh, I don't want to be with you because you're a newbie or whatever. Yeah, well, they don't deserve to be in your boat. We move on from them pretty quickly. Yeah. So just on being mentored, you know, we really just want everyone who wants to be a part of this to be really open and to feedback. You've got so many people who want you to succeed here, and we want to help as much as we can. And I think Nathan said, you said at the start, we'll probably all learn something along the way as well, again. But, you know, find people around you that you click with, and that might mean interstate as well. Or find avenues to be able to communicate with different people. You know, one is never enough when you're first starting out, reflecting on those, you know, all those circles around you as a sweep. But, you know, everyone will have a strength. And I think, Scott, you touched on this, you know, if you're not a good rowing coach, go and find someone who is, to help, you know, take your crews and take them for technique sessions, or have them help you in some way around teaching technique. I am not a technical sweep. I suck at teaching people the finesse of rowing. So I have someone who helps me do that. And a lot of people do. So, you know, but just make sure that whatever you're doing, you just involve yourself in it. And I'm no psychiatrist or anything like that, but I've watched a lot of professional sports people get better, and the coaches are deeply involved in what they do. So it makes them better again. So yeah, as much as you can do it with someone and learn with them, you'll be better. So just when you come to the weekends with us, you know, just be open to it. Like, no one's going to be awful to you. And if they are, then we've got a problem. But it won't happen. Everyone who's coming to this weekend, who's giving up time and effort, and who will continually mentor you on the way, wants you to succeed. And I want you to remember that every time something doesn't, you know, go so right. No, they're here to help, and they want to be better. So just some other things we talked about, and we're nearing the end, guys, is just making sure as a sweep you're looking after your physical well-being. You know, I don't think it's any secret that people could see that, you know, I started out at one size and I finished at another, and that's because the weight had an issue. Like the more weight you carry, excess weight, the harder it is to move. It doesn't, I've had a sweep who's 110 kilos and he felt no different to a 70 kilo sweep, but it does affect your ability to move and to be really agile. Now, there are times in our sports where as a sweep, you're going to have to be agile. So getting in the boat, no word of a lie, that is my worst nightmare, is getting in the boat. But because my grade 3 ballet exam says she has incredible style, but she lacks elevation, right? I can't jump for the fucking life of me, right? So that start where paddle is, and anything above my arm, like in my head, I am freaking out, right? So everyone sees my cheat rope. I found a way to overcome it. Like, God, if you see me go out without that rope, I am like anxiety city. But I've overcome it by finding a way to help me get in. But, when you're going out through a wave and you've got to lay back to get that nose up, or, you've got a big wave to hold, and you want to use your balance, like being agile and having a degree of flexibility as a sweep really helps. So don't forget to work on your physical side of things as much as your mental side of things. Strength is a big thing. But I guess, seeing the success of some of the smaller sweeps, and obviously now the girls coming through, strength is a part of it, but it's not all of it. Technique plays a really big role in sweeping, which we'll get to in the physical side, the physical days that we have. But being as strong as you can be is my advice. And certainly when we talk as a group, there are times when you just need to be strong. There's no two ways about it. Or as strong as you can possibly be. And this is what I say to a lot of the girls on the call. Oh, I can't do it, I'm not strong enough. You are only ever going to be as strong as you can be, right? And what your body is capable of. So you have to do things sometimes a little bit differently. As a smaller kind of build, and certainly not as much strength as the guys, but it can be done. It absolutely can be done. And certainly people like Raylene and some of the girls on this call and myself are proof that it's not all about brute strength, but geez, as long as you can be as strong as you can be, it does help. It helps your performance. And coordination. So getting in the boat takes a degree of coordination. Going through the surf takes a degree of coordination. And when it goes wrong, you want to try and attempt to get a good photo out of it, like this guy here. I think that is seriously, that's foresight. That's pretty incredible. So, you just want to make sure that, you will find, I think, as a sweep that you start to develop a rhythm in your head. And it's your rhythm, it's no one else's. As a blade goes in the water, like, I don't know if other sweeps want to talk about this, but I feel like I sing in my head and I talk with the stroke and I go like this and things like that. So you will find that there's a degree of not only physical coordination, but mental coordination as well that happens. And please just be really mindful of the fact that this is really hard on you cardio-wise. Some people like to talk a lot, some people don't, but you don't have to be obviously maybe as fit as an A-grade rower, but if you're going to fall out, sometimes there's a decent swim involved. So I just encourage you to try and be fit enough to get yourself out of strife if you need to, but also be able to communicate all the way through the race. I think that sometimes I watch some of the really unfit sweeps, and they don't really exist so much anymore. I think we're kind of seeing the changing face of a sweep, but really struggle. And I worry that sometimes the strain on their bodies is probably a bit too much. So just be aware that just because you're the sweep doesn't mean you get on the beers and the meat pies and all that sort of stuff. You definitely can. And I certainly gave that a good nudge in my early career. But if you want to be the best you can be, then your body will match it. And yeah, you just need to go with that. So boys, you want to add anything there? Because that was obviously a topic we talked about together.
Yeah, I will.
Stu? Yeah.
As I get older, sorry, clear my throat. As I get older, I'm starting to struggle a bit more because I'm busy and I don't make as much time as I should to look after myself. Going from being a young sweep that also rode competitively, I was very naturally fit and reasonably strong. Now finding that my as I'm getting older, my strength is diminishing, and it's something that I relied on so much as a sweep. So yeah, you really need to look after yourself a little bit. I was actually considering this concept and speaking about it during the week or last week, and it was where I was coming from with it is jockeys, for instance, will do training. F1 drivers will do training. You'd need to be reasonably fit. I've even heard of game fishermen doing training so they can fight big fish. Even though we don't exert ourselves as much as the A-grade rowers, as Beck said, it still knocks it out of you. You're dragging the boat around the beach all day. It's not unusual for me to take a really big wave and to be out of breath when I hit the beach. So yeah, you do need to look after yourself. You need to keep your see if you can keep a bit of cardio. It's not something. Hopefully, I don't fall out back and have to swim in. But I'd probably take the ride these days. But
yeah, just put your hand up. They come and get you.
Yeah, but you do really need to look after yourself in that regard, and your rowers will appreciate it. To be honest, me personally, I sometimes think I'll let my rowers down in the amount of training I do with them, and I could do more training with them, and they'd probably appreciate that more. So there's another concept for you in itself is being a part of what they're trying to achieve, and you're along for the ride with them, and you are that fifth team member.
Yeah.
Can I just add something there, Beck?
We've just got a question come through on the comments that I just want to read out that a couple of people are keen to know the answer on. So it's from Bastian, and is there any specific sweep set of exercises, stretching or fitness training that you can think of that are sort of, I guess, specific for sweeps?
It's a really great question, and I just saw that pop up, and I think probably trying to answer that right now might be a bit hard, but what we might make a focus on the physical weekend is showing you some stuff. And I think you'll find there are differences for males and females here. I think that this is where we'll start to differentiate between the two, just because we're built differently. So yeah, Bastian, we'll definitely take that, and Jacqueline, I see your name there too. We might take that up as a topic just to include on the physical weekends that we have, and then obviously we can share that after as well. Yeah. Okay.
Beck, I was just going to add something. It's Gary here. On the physical well-being, like it's feasible that you could be sweeping a boat out on the water 20 hours a week. You're working 40 hours a week. You've got your family and you've got to eat and other things, and so it's very easy to forget that you have to do your own training, and then you have to do your thinking as well, because you need to do thinking for your racing, thinking for your training, and what you can do to improve it. So there's lots of things that sweep needs to take into account, and one of them that's most important, as you mentioned there, is physical well-being and physical strength. And in answer to the questions that I found over the time with training for sweeps, it's about general fitness, and it's about leg strength, core strength, and wrist power, how much forearm strength you've got. They're the things that I need to work on when I'm doing it. My shoulders and things tend to be fine, but it's that core strength when you're pushing that sweep on a wave, leg power to be able to lift and push the sweeper around, and then next to hang on to the bloody oar as it moves in your hand.
Yeah, it's not so easy. It looks so easy. I don't know why everyone just can't do it. It's great. No, but yeah, we'll definitely take that up. I think that's a really good topic to include that we haven't included for our practical weekend.
Beck,
So
just one more. Yep, just one more on that. And it comes down to your mental state when you are tired or when your heart rate's up. So if you're under pressure physically, then it makes it very difficult to be really clear with your thinking and your decisions. And the best sweep is the one that's absolutely clear and calm and able to make the decisions without the fog of being tired. And more so, I've realised this when I've tried to sweep and row in the same carnival, running from a boat where I've just done a race as a rower and come across and sweep. And I am a really poor sweep when I do that because my heart rate's up and I can't think as clearly as I would do if I was sitting there calmly, watching the waves, scoping it out. and with my heart rate down. Yeah, if you can do whatever you can to get into that nice, relaxed, calm state without pissing everybody off by not helping out shifting boats, then yeah, it works out better.
Yeah, great stuff. And equally too, like as I said, when you're in the end of this session, so I'm starting to see a few people yawn. I hope we're not boring. You've just all had a big day. But your gear and equipment is equally as important. And it's very hard as a new sweep or, an up and coming sweep to go, hey, I want to use, the A-Crew sweeps, sweep or aside. It is hard. I get it. But sometimes when you're just starting out, it's about what you've got, and just be okay with that. But I think as you progress through, I think it's quite within your rights to kind of look at how you can better yourself by also bettering your equipment. Certainly over time, I started with the big, long wooden sweep bore, and it was actually a conversation with Bucky and Howard Croker one day that said, Becky, you should use a shorter sweep bore, so there's not as much pressure on you. And I use a foot shorter than what the blokes do. And I've been through them all, the really, really light ones that would snap in my fingers when I just picked them up. I'm sure of it. It wasn't user error. But now I'm really content with the blue blade kind of short sweep bore. People still love the timber, so I couldn't find any pictures of timber oars. So that's kind of what you've got in your hands. But find what works for you. And I'm more than fine for people to use my gear to try it out. They're just bits of fiberglass at the end of the day, which can be replaced. So yeah, like a rowing oar, your sweep oar needs to feel right. So if you can grab an old one and adjust it, that's even better. But have a look what's around, or put the feelers out to people to say, hey guys, I'm looking for an old sweep oar. Does anyone have one? Phil, who's in our club, has just got 2 old sweep oars that were in the back of our shed and haven't been used, and glassed them all up, and they look amazing. I was like, oh, I don't even know if we want to use these. They look so nice now. But that's the kind of thing that we're doing to help people get on the water when people come to New South Wales. So if Kim Marsh has got anything in his book written 10 times over, and I think this is the common theme, is if you're not willing to practice, you're never going to get any better. You have to practice, 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 practice. And again, I think you'll see this come out when we get together. We're going to be drilling you to not just use the one weekend. You should be going back to your clubs and really putting this into practice. And go and find yourself a bunch of masters rowers. They're terrific. And they'll be around that you might go every 2 weeks, or, if you're still rowing, which I know some of you still are, ask to stand up, go 10 minutes longer in a session just so you can stand up at the back. That's what I make all my girls do, just so they know it's pretty normal. It's like, oh, who's standing up today? Yeah, I'm having a go. Some are really good at it, just some are really shit, but we soon figure that out. And, now I've got girls who go to me, Becca, so when I finish rowing and I start sweeping, it's like, yeah, because you already know. It's something actually really to encourage a lot of your rowers to do. Combine with other clubs. Don't be in a hurry. This is not a race. I said that once to a bunch of boats at a ceremony. I said, it's not a race, and it turned into a race. It's not a race. This is your own journey. So, and again, I think you'll get the theme about, don't just be a good sweep, because a sweep at the end of the day is the person who steers the boat. Be a great coach. And we're going to be really talking a lot about that during the academy, especially these sessions are more about the coaching than what they are the physical side of it. And to finish it off, I love to use this analogy, and this is how I kind of sum up my sweeping career, and a lot of others will nod and go, you're just like a red wine. You'll get better with time. It takes time, but it also takes, tasting a good one, tasting a bad one, and different types, you'll get there if you just don't give up. You surround yourself with good people, which there's no excuses now around that not happening. But you'll get there. And everyone who's a part of this program, all speak the same language, is that we just want to see you all succeed. Even if we had a quarter of you, get your S1s and a quarter of you start competing, just the impact of that on our sport and on our clubs in a positive way is beyond ridiculous. So we never expected to have nearly 250 people sign up for this, but if we had, half of you get to where you want to be, then we're killing it, without a doubt, and we'll do everything we can to to do that. So that kind of wraps up the session tonight. I hope you're all walking away feeling good, and that you're ready to do it, or some of you might go, oh God, it all just sounds too overwhelming. That's fine too. But I just wanted to finish. So does anyone have any comments or questions or anything? Now's the time. And I know you're probably all going to go, oh, I don't want to ask a question. Yeah, take it on, head on. Or does anyone want to make any comments, or the more experienced sweeps who are on here right now to finish us off?
I will say,
if I could just jump in,
you go, mate. Donate. All right, I'll go.
Yeah, Beck,
who's actually talking?
God's first.
I'll go. Beck, it's Matt Salker from St Kilda. So I'm just called iPad 2 on my iPad. Just the thing for people is to take every opportunity to get in the back of the boat. If you have one crew and you go to a carnival and you have 3 rounds of round robin, that's 3 races of experience. If you have 2 or 3 crews, there's 6 or 9 races. So you can do 3. If you have 3 crews, you can do 3 years worth of experience compared to another sweep that's only got into the back of one crew. It doesn't have to be racing, but it can also be training. The more you get in the back of a boat, the quicker you'll progress.
Yeah, time on water, can't beat it. Just time on water. Yeah. Anyone else got any thoughts? Is it, it's okay if you don't. I'm happy just to kind of finish up. But before we do, one of the big things we really need everybody to do is to RSVP for the Queensland and the New South Wales weekends. A lot of logistical planning goes into the RSVP. So if you know someone's coming that hasn't done it, please, we need to know by Wednesday. Because people like Phil and Swoop and that are organising the number of boats we need, so no one's left standing on the beach, and they're not standing around. So please really make sure that you do this, because it makes our lives a lot easier.
Sorry, Beck, Tash here. Could you maybe get us a list of who has confirmed, and we can put it out on the socials, so those that are coming 100%. And haven't confirmed can do that. We've also got a question that's just come through from Damien Ball, and he's just asked if there's any other resources that they can look out for.
I'll take this one. So one of the things we're hoping out of the back of this is that we will be populating a lot of this content, and a lot of content that already exists, into the Coach Connect network within Surf Life Savings Australia's network. And Narelle and Trace are really on board with this and helping us do it. So yes, there is so much out there, but it's just not all in one spot. So that's one of the things, as an outcome of this academy, and over time, we will start to put into the one place. So, and that Coaching Connect portal at the moment is outstanding. If no one else has looked at it, whilst not surfboat specific just yet, there is some really great stuff in there. So Kim and I have been talking about his book as well, and I'm not sure if he's on the call. I noticed he came in late, but Kim only has limited numbers left, very limited numbers. So if you want to get your hands on one, I'll be ordering one tomorrow, which I can send you the link of where to do that. But he's also just looking at options to have it transferred to a digital edition, and different ways we can convert it. So I'm just helping him out on that. So yeah, got a few options, but nothing concrete yet. But look, that surfboat book, I've got to say, is absolute gold. So we will try and get it all together. But yes, that is definitely the aim, to have a central hub of all this stuff. Because there's great videos, like so many great videos, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'm going to let you go. And see who I see, and see who we see this weekend at Metcalfe. Jace has got everything sorted there. So, and then down here in God's country of Kiama the weekend after, and then off to the various states after that. So the other states, we just wanted to get through these kind of weekends, and then we'll organise your RSVP. So look out for that in a couple of weeks. You haven't missed anything just yet. It's just that I wanted to get the process right before I fucked it up 4 or 5 times. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. You're always welcome to give us feedback on these sessions, good and bad. It's no different to us standing at the back of the boat. We The committee, certainly thanks to Stu and Scotty and Gary for helping pull this session together. The next one won't be presented by me. You'll get sick of my voice by the end of it, but we will be helping people just establish crew culture and how to start a club or how to build something within your own club, and the various success stories and various failures that have gone with it, and the fundamentals of it. So hopefully that will help people as well. But most importantly, go and get on the water. This is the perfect time to do it. Winter waves are the best, and certainly on the still water, go and do it. Yeah. All right, we're going to sign out. Thanks, Tash, for setting this up, and thank you all very much for attending. It's really great and just shows that we've got a lot of potential here, so let's make it work. All right, see you guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Beck.
See ya. Tash, do you just want to hold on a minute? And the end?
I know.
Oh, need a drink.
See you guys.
You know, thanks.
You know, thank you. Is Lily all gone? What time is it? Oh, 9:20. That wasn't too bad.
10 to 9 here, so that's good.
Yeah, it was the WA guys I was worried about because I knew they'd have to rush out of work.
Yeah.
That was always going to be the hard part. But yeah, look, it's just hard. The only other thought I had was you could do it and then do it again. But you know, it's just right.
And we can make the recording. I think is that Stu Clark still on? I don't know. We can make the recording available to them as well.
Yeah. So that's why I just wanted to ask you, because everyone's like, oh, is it going to be recorded? It's going to be recorded.
Yeah.
Will you put it on that? Where will you put it, do you reckon?
You've got a list of the emails, don't you?
Yeah.
So I can email you the link, and then I can either email. So we've got a MailChimp account.
Yeah.
So we can either, if you get me the group of contacts, like in a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, I can import them. I can import them into MailChimp and make a Sweep Academy mail group.
Yeah, and then I'll just keep sending you people as they come in. That's the annoying part, is they keep coming in.
Keep coming.
Not annoying, but good.
It's a good bad problem.
It's a good bad problem, because I go, I've set my list now and I've set it all up, just like you say, and then I go, damn it, I have to go back and do it all.
Yeah.
But that's okay. The joys of having an overly successful lineup. What do you think? Was it all right?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. We I'm just thinking, if you want, so are you just sending out the emails yourself at the moment?
Yeah, well, from the Academy email.
Yeah. Because
I'm not doing it from my personal one.
Yeah, we've got Abby. So Abby does all of our emails through MailChimp. So if we've got that group in there, like the mail out list in there, if you're short on time, you can always use her to just say, hey, can you send out an email?
Look, I've been really conservative with my emailing, because when I want it to go, I want it to pack a punch. I kind of like that it says it's from the Academy, because they, you know, we all get the ASRL ones. I don't want it to fall.
She can set in the back end who it sends from, so we can have it say that it's from the Sweep Academy. Yeah,
I'd like to get into kind of a weekly correspondence with people. But I haven't got a lot to tell them just yet, other than please RSVP and do this. But as like, you know, I'd like to follow up tomorrow. Okay, here's the link, you know, and stuff like that. Or whenever we get it, like it's, you know, it's going to be what it's going to be.
What I might do is I'll just